Good morning, my name is Georgie Newbery. I'm a flower farmer and florist based between fashionable Bruton and up and coming Wincanton here in kind of grey but not too bad Somerset. It is the 9th of November and I've got some roses which have arrived bare root from a well-known supplier. I do not particularly recommend them, but I am a sucker for a sale and they had a special offer, so I quickly ordered myself 10 more roses. And so I thought you might like to come along with me and we'll plant these, and I'll show you how I plant bare root and have a little chat about why I think bare root is a good idea. If you enjoy these clips, please do subscribe to the channel. There's a subscribe button somewhere. Click the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got new clips coming out. And if you find the tips and tricks I give you as I chat helpful, then you can always buy me a coffee, for which I will be very grateful. Obviously you're not really buying me a coffee, but there's a link in the blurb for each of these clips, and it's just a way to make a small contribution to the making of the clips and encourage me to make more. So thank you very much. Right, enough of this chat, let's get on. Barrows full of mulch. Never go anywhere without a barrel full of mulch, even if the barrows squeak. Now, I spend my life defragging this garden, and so these 10 roses are actually going to go here, where the limonium and the catmint are. And then they'll carry on along the row from the other roses. And I'm going to dig up the catmint and dig up the limonium. Some of it I'll keep, some of it I'll give to a friend, and I'll split it a bit. The limonium and the catmint have been in the ground for a long time, and I don't use as much of them as I might, so I'll probably get rid of a bit of it. Right, on we get. And while I'm here, and in the spirit of why do one job properly and get it finished when you can do 3 and not do any of them properly, I'm just cutting back this Bronicastrum because I don't have a ready supply of pheasant feathers for my Christmas wreaths, but I think this lovely aubergine colour in them does just as well. So these are going to be my pheasant feathers in my Christmas wreaths. And I'm going to take the rest of that limonium back with me, and in the distance the rest of that grass needs cutting back for the Christmas wreaths. Multitasking. And yes, since you mentioned it, it is important to leave some for the birds. So here are the some I'm leaving for the birds. Now here's a thrilling bit of film, but when you're going to plant anything bare root, once it's arrived, it's really worth soaking it for a couple of hours in a bucket of water. So here are 10 bare root roses in a bucket of water. So I've got 2 hours, and it's really worth working this one out too. I've got 2 hours before I'm going to plant them. So I can finish prepping the bed, go and get my annual checkup mammogram. Oh yes, there's the thrill. And be back and have time to plant them before it's time to fetch my daughter from school. You see, it's really worth working out the time. And here, next to the bucket of soaking roses, are the limonium plants, sea lavender, which I've dug up. They have very big, heavy roots, so I hope they won't mind having been dug up. I'm going to take them round to my friend Anne's, and she's going to put them in her front garden because she loves their frothiness. I've kept a few, but lifting these has made lots of room for my roses. So here is the bed prepped, and the hose you can see folded up at the end. That's our very simple watering system. Basically we make holes in an ordinary hose pipe, wrap bits of plastic round where the holes are, and it forces the water out to squirt. And I've got this pipe running through my roses because in the spring sometimes we have rather a dry spring, so I'll give them a water. And that's one of the reasons I've chosen this patch for planting these roses, because that watering system is already in place. So I've left myself some of this limonium, but lifted a lot. I'm going to take that over to my friend Anne. I've lifted all of that nepeta or catmint, and I've planted a bit of it down here. I didn't cut masses of it last year, so I'm not keeping masses of it. Weirdly, this catmint seems to have been invaded by some Japanese anemones, which I don't mind at all. So I've made sure to keep those. They can share that bed very happily. I've mulched the place where I've put the catmint and the Japanese anemones. I've mulched the bed ready for the roses, and the roses are soaking down the bottom. I've got 10 roses, and I measure my planting at about 3 per metre of a metre wide running bed. And this bed, if I show you how very sophisticated way of measuring. Look at this. Okay, here my feet at the end, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about 4 metres, and I've got 10 roses, and I put 3 roses to a metre, so I've got plenty of room for them there. Right, I've got a little while to wait while those roses soak, but I've got limonium to deliver to my friend, and I better go and have that mammogram. Not a serious mammogram, but it is important to have one's mammogram when one's called up for a checkup, because these things, if one catches them early, it's a good idea. Right, onwards and upwards. Right, the routine mammogram is done. The limonium has all been delivered to my friend Anne and left outside her front door. A cup of tea has been drunk, and the bare root roses have been sitting in a bucket of water for 2 hours. So now I'm going to pop them in the ground. I have with me also some mycorrhiza, which is a kind of fungus, like a dried fungus, which I'm going to scatter in the holes that I dig to plant my bare root roses. And what the mycorrhiza does is it encourages the relationship between the rooting plant and the earth. And it occurs naturally in the soil. But when I plant new plants, I often add a little scrunch of it. You can mix it up in a bowl of water, and it sort of mushes up to, it looks like wallpaper paste, and dip the roots of your plants into it. But personally, I just scatter it in the hole in the same way I would some blood, fish and bone or something, and then I add them, and then I plant the plants. Anyway, I'll show you. Here we are, back at the spot where we're going to plant these roses. Just while we're here, look, Queen of Sweden, still flowering in November, and taller than me. I'm 5'2", and they have lovely strong stems. If you're looking for a good cutting rose, look at those straight stems. I'm very fond of this Queen of Sweden. It has, look at that pretty cup, not huge heads, but very, very pretty, and a sweet scent, especially in November. Anyway, enough rimbant, let's get on. So I've got 5 of each. This is Rosa the Shepherdess, pale pink, very pretty. And this is Litchfield Angel, sort of floppy white with a tiny bit of pink in it. Very pretty. And I'm going to dig holes for them. Now this is the mycorrhiza. And it's come with the roses. You get mycorrhiza in the ground from the roots of the plants. It will come, you know, if you plant a wood, for example, like this one, along the edge of Common Farm here, there will be a lot of mycorrhiza attached to the roots of those trees. And the roots of those trees will be almost under my feet here. So you have mycorrhiza in the soil, wherever you are, but I'm never one to look a gift horse in the mouth. And so I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit in the hole. That's simple. I'm not going to put too much, just a little bit. The idea is that it touches the roots and the soil, and then encourages the relationship between the roots and the soil, and you get good healthy plants. Really, really simple. Now I've dug a hole which is big enough for the roots to get in, but I'm going to make sure that where the Litchfield Angel bit has been grafted onto the rootstock, it's a tiny little bit proud of the level of the earth, because I don't want the rootstock to shoot. I only want growth of these stems, the Litchfield Angel stems. So don't bury this bit where the graft has happened, because I don't want the shoots from there. I don't want whatever the rootstock was. I just want the Litchfield Angel bit to grow. Does that make any sense? So there they all are in now. The shepherdesses at this end, the Litchfield Angels at that end. I could have added bloodfish and bone to the holes, but we garden on very thick clay, which is very rich, and I had already mulched the surface with very good quality compost. So they've got plenty of goodness to keep them going and help them settle in. They've all had a sprinkle of mycorrhiza on their roots to help them settle in. I could now take my scissor and just give them a little tiny prune. You see, but they're so short stemmed already that actually I'm not going to. I could make sure that the nearest bud to the top was, so there's one here, was facing outwards. But again, I'm just going to let them settle. I'm not going to fuss around them too much, and they will shoot from those side buds as they come, and obviously not till next year. I may cut a little from them next year. I may let them settle. I'll see how they do. It depends on the winter that we have. So there we have it. A lovely afternoon planting roses, having a mammogram, and now I must go and fetch that lovely little girl from the school bus. There, I hope you've enjoyed this afternoon's clip. I have to say, it's nothing like a bit of fresh air and exercise. My tulip bulbs still haven't arrived, but it doesn't matter because I'm getting ahead, and I'm sure they will arrive at some point. They were dispatched last Thursday, so that's probably our next clip. I am looking very hairy, I can see. It's kind of steamy here. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this clip. If you found any of the tips and tricks useful, then do please buy me a coffee. The link is in the blurb for each of my clips. Do subscribe to the channel. I'm told by my cousin Matthew that all these clips I'm posting are driving him a bit mad, because his lovely wife Caroline, who is a lovely lady and old friend of mine, endlessly watches the clips, which means that he can't watch enough cricket. Cruel fate, Matthew. Anyway, yes, so do subscribe like my cousin Caroline has, and press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming out. And I'll leave you with the beautiful, oh yes, there she is, Queen of Sweden. Have a lovely evening, everybody. I better go to the school bus, otherwise I'm going to be late. Bye. Now, it is the next day, and I've been lying in bed worrying about the fact, because I can find things to worry about anywhere, but I've been lying in bed worrying about the fact that I didn't water in my roses when I planted them. Worrying so much that I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to check the weather forecast, and there is no forecast rain here for another week. And so normally I would have got up this morning, filled 2 big watering cans of water and gone up and watered them in. And if you watch the clip where I split the GM before, I would have watered in the GMs too, because although I said in the GM clip that I wasn't going to water them in because it rains so much here in southwest England that they would get watered in. Actually, the forecast said no water. Anyway, I woke up this morning and it's rained all night. So the roses and the gems have had a good watering. So I now don't feel bad about the watering. Do think, when you are doing anything in your garden, and especially if you watch a few video clips or you're following advice from somebody else, always look at your own environment and make a value judgment yourself. Do they need watering in? Usually they do. Anyway, enough of this. Better get on. The tulips are coming at lunchtime.